The Business Review brings you top financial news, developments, influencing currencies, commodities, global commerce, tourism, and other economic events from around the globe.
US stocks fell on Friday, September 18th, as technology shares sold off for a third day in a row, while all three major US indexes posted a third straight week of declines. It was the Nasdaq's first such weekly streak since August of 2019, and S&P 500 and Dow's first since early October of 2019. Apple Incorporated, Microsoft Corp, Amazon.com Incorporated and Alphabet Incorporated, which helped to fuel the market's rally off the March lows, were among the biggest drags on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq on Friday, while the S&P 500 Technology Index fell 1.7%, the biggest weight among the S&P 500 sectors. Apple was down 3.2%. Volume on US exchanges was 14.31 billion shares, the highest since this year's reconstitution by FTSE Russell of its indexes in June. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.88%, the S&P 500 lost 1.12%, and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 1.07%. The Dow ended just barely lower on the week, while the S&P 500 fell 0.7% and the Nasdaq dropped 0.6% for the week.
The Kyrgyz president, Sooronbay Jeenbekov, said on Sunday that Kyrgyzstan hails China's assistance in fighting COVID-19 pandemic in the Central Asian country and seeks to deepen cooperation. He noted the Kyrgyz side greatly admires the unity of people in successfully overcoming the epidemic, reiterating that Kyrgyzstan appreciates the concept of a community with a shared future for mankind. The Kyrgyz president said Kyrgyzstan is willing to work with China to further promote the co-construction of Belt and Road and overcome adverse effects caused by the epidemic on the economy. He added the country seeks to expand the two countries' pragmatic cooperation in investment, energy, transportation, agricultural, and medicine to explore new ways such as electronic commerce and artificial intelligence. In response, the Chinese foreign minister said solidarity and cooperation are the most powerful weapons in the fight against the epidemic, and also interpretation to the concept of a community with a shared future for mankind. He noted China is ready to strengthen mutually beneficial cooperation with the country in the post-epidemic era, in accordance with the important consensus reached by the two heads of state.
The United Nations Development Programme (UNDP) announced the creation of 900 job opportunities in the Gaza Strip. And in a statement, the management made it clear that this initiative comes as part of their efforts to support the health sector in facing current challenges, including the COVID-19 virus, in addition to supporting youth in providing decent job opportunities for them. And interviews will be held for graduates of medical specialties to employ 900 young men and women in the Strip's hospitals.
With support from our partners, we at United Nations Development Programme UNDP BAB were able to employ over 900 health workers to support the health sectors and to support their response against COVID-19 outbreak. As it's known, the unemployment rate among youth in the Gaza Strip stands at 63%. And with deploying about 900 health workers, we also support the livelihood and improve the economic situation of the health workers with their families, and also reflects on the community as a whole.
The statement indicated that the registration for job opportunities is done by updating the data through the electronic portal of the Ministry of Labor in Gaza, with which the beneficiaries are chosen in partnership. This step comes to fulfill the deficit of hospitals and health centers in Gaza to confront the outbreak of corona, The operation will be carried out in cooperation with the competent government agencies headed by the Ministry of Health.
We call on all concerned parties to take concrete measures towards doubling the basic needs of the health sector, with regards to medicines, medical supplies, and the health personnel, as well as strengthening the central laboratory so that it can perform the largest amount of medical examinations, especially at the time of the spread of the coronavirus and the fragile reality of the health system in the Gaza Strip.
While the Palestinian Ministry of Health said that it's working with limited capabilities to confront corona due to the shortage of medicines and medical supplies as a result of the Israeli blockade. According to the ministry, its warehouses in Gaza are running out of 43% of medicines, 25% of medical consumables, and 65% of laboratory and blood bank supplies, in addition to a great shortage of sterilizers and protective supplies. For KTV2, this is Business Review Program, Yumna Syed, Gaza, Palestine.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said on Tuesday, September 15th, Australia plans to lower the price of gas to drive their COVID-19 economic recovery. Morrison said Australia would consider requiring new gas projects to reserve a proportion of their gas specifically for the domestic market. He also said that the government plans to renegotiate domestic gas supply agreements with 3 liquefied natural gas exporters to include a price component, though he did not specify the exact details. The proposal comes just weeks after Australia's consumer watchdog said Australian businesses are paying about 50% more for domestically produced gas than export customers are. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has detailed how a gas-led recovery will help Australia out the coronavirus recession.
According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, on Monday, China was the only G20 country to record gross domestic product growth in the second quarter of 2020, reflecting the country's economic recovery. The report noted that most countries of the G20 went through unprecedented falls in GDP in the second quarter as a consequence of COVID-19 measures. GDP dropped by an average of 11.8% in other countries compared with the first quarter, except China, which reported 11.5% growth on quarter and 3.2% year-on-year. India saw the most dramatic GDP fall of 25.2%. A total of 8 countries had double-digit decreases in GDP growth rate. GDP in the second quarter for the group as a whole contracted 6.9%, far beyond the 1.6% decline recorded in the fourth quarter of 2009 amid the financial crisis.
China's economy continued to recover at a steady pace in August, according to the data from the National Bureau of Statistics, or the NBS, on Tuesday. The manufacturing industry accelerated the speed of recovery in August, with the added value of major industrial enterprises increasing by 5.6% over a year earlier, or 0.8 percentage points more than that in July. China's service production index saw a 4% year-on-year growth, or 0.5 percentage points higher than the figure in July. In terms of consumption, the total retail sales of consumer goods reached $494.91 billion, up 0.5% over the same period of last year. It is the first time that the industry's growth rate has turned from negative to positive. Sales of goods involving communications, cosmetics, jewelry, and automobiles realized relatively faster growth. Meanwhile, the growth rate of online retailing kept going up in August. From January to August, investments in fixed assets dropped by 0.3%. with the decline rate narrowing by 1.3 percentage points than that from January to July. In August, the consumer prices saw a narrow growth, and the producer price index continued to fall down.
This brings us to the end of this episode of Business Review. We hope to see you again tomorrow with news of stock markets, economic conferences, commodities, currencies, regional and international financial matters, and more.